Hey.
Thank you all very much. It's really a pleasure to be here. So we've had stretching tossed around a lot, and I had a little presentation prepared, but I'm just going to kind of wing it. I'm here to present the idea that stretching is something that we might want to reconsider. When I was taught to run in maybe like 6th grade, I was taught think muscles. I wasn't even really taught anything so much as this is what I do from all of my coaches. And so when I was running competitively in high school, it was, we stretch in the way that my coach stretched, instead of really thinking through what is it that I'm trying to do. So the work that I practice, the work that I study is all oriented around the central nervous system. The idea that the brain is really changeable and is really dynamic. And moment to moment, how we speak, how we think, how we move, it changes. And using that idea, I work with professional athletes, I work with people post-stroke, I work with children with special needs, cerebral palsy, autism, to really try to create change in the nervous system which affects physicality. So I'll give just a little brief demonstration. If everyone can really gently, not trying to stretch in any way that you normally think of as stretching, reach down and not touch your toes, not have the ambition of touching your toes, but just see what it feels like to reach down really gently. And then when you kind of notice where you are there, come back up again. And place your hands on your knees, just right above your knees. And a couple of times, really gently, round your back, and then arch your back. And then use your head, allow your pelvis to really move. So you're rounding and you're arching in your back and your spine. But not trying to go really far in either direction. And do this just a couple of times, back and forth like that. And then take both hands and place them above your right knee. Really leaning on your knees, so your knees can be a little bit bent. And keeping your head and your torso more or less in the center, continue to round your spine and arch back and forth like this. Slowly, slowly, slowly. And then place your hands on your other knee. And round and arch in this position. Gently, just kind of paying attention to what it feels like to move in this way. Allowing your pelvis to be involved, your lower back to be involved. And then stop that, and reach down towards the ground again. And notice if you're reaching at all differently. Maybe you notice that you're going a little bit farther to the ground. And then come back on up again. So try placing again both hands on your right knee, just above your right knee, where your knees a little bent. And round this time looking towards underneath your right armpit. So looking under your right armpit and then arching to look almost over your right shoulder. And back and forth like this, rounding and arching in your spine. Gently, really smooth, slow. And then stop that, come to the neutral, bring your hands to the other side, to your left knee, and round here. So rounding, looking under your left armpit, and then arching, looking a little bit over your left shoulder. Back and forth like that. What we're doing is we're awakening the nervous system to the possibility that your spine and your pelvis can actually be involved in the broader movement. So stop that and come back to the neutral again and reach down and see if you're actually reaching towards the ground further. You haven't done any stretching, you haven't really, tried to stretch a muscle, but maybe there's some change. So come back on up. The idea that I'm exploring here, the work that I do, so muscles, just basic anatomy. I mean, you can Google it on Wikipedia. Muscles do two things: they contract and they release. When we are trying to stretch a muscle, we're pulling against a muscle that's already at least slightly contracted, which triggers a protection mechanism, the stretch reflex, which means the muscle stretches more. So there are ways of moving such that that can actually create more mobility, but it's a whole lot more efficient if we're accessing how movement is processed from the perspective of the brain. So I know we're eager to run. I'm going to pull on my shoes and I'm going to join you. If you have any questions, I have information inside. I'd be glad to talk more in depth. I have a June intensive coming up and I teach weekly classes, and I'm always enthusiastic to talk about it. So I'm looking forward to this run, and thanks for having me.